using the last little drop of Leo energy as we move into Virgo season. I found this little shirt here, and it goes well with kind of what I learned about myself and what I'm going to share here, which is basically a transcribed message from the channel True Brilliance, where she goes over and explains the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and that is individuals who are born in between the dates of November 1983 to November of 1995. It's a very powerful group, powerful generation, and there is a lot of suffering that goes on when we are not aware of what this generation goes through in the first aspect of our lives. And when you cross that threshold and when you pass over, pun intended, when you pass over and have that death and rebirth that happens in the esoteric realms, that's when the magic happens and unfolds in your life. And a lot of that first quarter of your life, first half, starts to really make sense. So anyways, I'm going to cut this off, get to the transcribed message, and that's it. I will make another video. A part 2 of this will be going through the houses in your birth chart, because where Pluto is in Scorpio in the specific house is going to turn out differently in your life as far as what challenges you're going to face. This Pluto and Scorpio generation we're going to learn about it's basically you get that at a very magnified level, because other generations don't have such an intense cleansing process that's going on with them. So you're not plunged to such deep depths in order to have this purification and rebirth. And this is happening for some very specific reasons. So in the transcribed message, we'll go over that a little bit. There's a part 1 where she just talks about what this aspect and what this generation really is. Second part, again, will be the different houses that it affects. So first house is your identity, second house is finances, and so on through the other ones, marriage, relationships, all this good stuff, and how it'll affect you differently in your life, and which specific parts of your life you go through this extreme purification process, which are really being taken through the ringer, because you literally are, but it's for a specific purpose, for that rebirth. When you have that specific transformation in that aspect, you come out of it that much more powerful, and it's going to come out to translate to some really powerful things in your birth chart, in your life, in your relationships, in your career, in a lot of ways. So without further ado, we'll jump over to that and start the transcribed message. Begin transcribed message. Hey everyone, it's me, True Brilliance, back with a video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Pluto and Scorpio generation. Jumping ahead to 59 seconds. So today's video, we're going to be talking about the power of the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And I feel like right now is the perfect time to talk about it, because I feel like we're really starting to come into our own and come into our power at this particular time. Okay, so let me give you guys the dates for this Pluto and Scorpio generation. Okay, so the days for the Pluto and Scorpio generation is from November 1983 to November 1995. And in the original video that I'm going to link, she does say 83 to 85, but in the description she clarifies, because it's actually a 12-year period, and it does go until November of 95, not 85. And the thing that's so rare about this generation is Pluto takes 248 years to go around the zodiac, give or take. So that means that Pluto only comes back home every 200 years, okay? 200 and some change years. So that means that this placement is not common in the cosmic reality. It's very rare, when it comes around. I mean, of course, on the cosmic scale of things, 200 years isn't that long of a time. But for us on Earth, that is a very long time. So when this generation incarnates, it's a very, very big deal on a global scale. I know that they haven't been making it a big deal, or you guys don't know about it, and that's because a lot of astrological information is kept secret, from the public. So of course they're not telling you that they've been waiting for this generation to incarnate, but really they have. Because we are the transformers of the cosmos. Like nobody can transform and go to the depths like the Pluto and Scorpio generation can. We are literally spiritual warriors, is basically what we are, because we have been the ones that have been down here fighting in the underworld for humanity. Like us as a generation, Pluto and Scorpio, we are the generation that has come in and has been fighting with the dark side. Basically, we've been going through these deep, life-changing transformations in the underworld. We've been going through a ton of suffering, a ton of traumas, and all of that just so we can come out of it and basically save the world, because that's basically what we are doing. Because nobody is going to be able to handle dark stuff like we can. And the reason why we're so able to do that is because of how we grew up. The Pluto and Scorpio generation didn't grow up like other kids or other generations. Like we didn't have that veil. Because you know how kids grow up with that veil of your parents or society hides your eyes from a lot of the truth of what's going on in the world. And I actually don't think that is wise or smart to shelter your children. Like I don't agree with that way of parenting at all, because I think sheltering your children does them a huge disadvantage when it comes time for them to enter into society. Now, protecting your children and sheltering your children is two different things. I think you should always protect your children, but you also have to let go enough to let your kids have their own experiences on their own and come up with their own conclusions on their own, because that's what makes you an adult, and that's what makes you independent, and that's what makes you ready for the world when it comes time for you to go out and do that. Okay, so anyways, with the Pluto and Scorpio generation, like we were saying, everything, like nothing was hidden from us. And the things that weren't hidden from us is like dark stuff. So it's like if we grew up around dark energy, we grew up knowing about sex, we grew up knowing about drugs, we grew up knowing about murder, killing, rape, all of that stuff. None of that was hidden from us. So at the time that I was growing up, because I'm at the beginning of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, so we're like the elders, the elder Pluto and Scorpio generation. I am. So I can tell you, if you're born in the 90s and stuff, that you're going to be coming into my energy later. But just understand, like just don't worry about if you're going through a lot of stuff. Like just don't worry about it. This position gets better as you get older. And you gain a whole hell of a lot of power the older that you get. And that's really what I want to drive home in this video, is the power of the Pluto and Scorpio generation once they come into their own, because we really haven't came into our own yet. Like I said, the older Pluto and Scorp generation, my age, the ones that are like in their early 30s, we're just now starting to come into our full power because we've already been through our Saturn return. So really Saturn and Pluto really kind of work hand in hand, okay? Like Saturn matures you with responsibilities and limitation, but Pluto is like a purifier, okay? So Pluto purifies your emotions. So with Pluto and Scorpio generation, we incarnated into this realm with very intense emotions and very extreme emotions, because we feel things on a very, very, very deep level. And we're also extremely psychic and intuitive. So, of course, we absorb all the vibrations in the atmosphere, but we are really transformers. Okay, that's who we are. Okay, and I'm going to go through Pluto and the houses a little later in the video so you guys can kind of know what to expect for where it's playing out. Because what house, if you have Pluto and Scorpio, what house that is in is going to show you what area of life that Pluto and Scorpio energy played out. With me, it played out in my first house, so it played out with my identity and my personality, which is extremely powerful. Okay, I also think Pluto in Scorpio in the 10th house is extremely powerful. Like, I want to meet y'all. Where's my Pluto and Scorpio in the 10th house, people? Could you guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with. What you guys come in true to your power, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you have Pluto and Scorpio in the 10th, you're not even going to come into the full power until a little bit later in life, because going back to what I was saying about the Saturn and Pluto energy maturing you, Pluto and Saturn energy both are energies that take a long time to come into full manifestation or take a long time to come into full form. So like I was saying with Saturn, usually when you're in your younger life, basically your life sucks, okay? Your life completely sucks. And then as you get older and you start to mature, your life ends up getting better and better, and usually success follows. Same thing with Pluto. In your earlier life, you're going to go through these very intense, traumatic, emotional experiences that are going to threaten to completely destroy everything that you are. And so usually with Pluto, it's like in your earlier life, there's a huge loss of power. Like you lose all your power or you fall from grace in some sort of way. And then you got to rebuild yourself and put yourself back together again. Okay. And then once you rebuild yourself, then it's like you're resurrected. You come back resurrected. Resurrected from the underworld is what I call it. But when you come back resurrected from the underworld, understand and believe that nobody is going to test your power after that. Because this is the thing that they don't tell you about the underworld. So when you're going through the underworld, basically you're getting destroyed, okay? You can look at it as dark spirits completely just tearing you the hell apart, breaking you down, breaking down your personality, breaking down who you are, destroying everything that you are, and then you end up turning around. So after you get completely depleted, like after you get everything taken away from you, you completely lose everything. You hit rock bottom, then you kind of go on this hero's journey where it's like basically you got to put yourself back together again. And you guys hear these things in mythology and stuff like that. They talk about putting yourself back together again. Even with the Isis and Osiris myth about Isis going and searching for the lost pieces of Osiris and putting him back together again, that is the perfect analogy of this Scorpio transformation that I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, go pick up my Goddess Archetypes class that I did because I talk at length about the Isis myth in there to really show you what's really about. And what that's really about is what I'm talking about right now, this whole Plutonian journey, this underworld journey. But basically, the Pluto and Scorpio generation, we are the traumatized generation. Like we are the ones that you guys see on the internet talking about our past and all the crazy things that we've been through, all the abuse we've been through, all the, dark shit that we've been through, and us taking that negative energy and turning it into something positive, which is spirituality. That's why so many of the Pluto and Scorpio generation are in the spiritual community, because that became our salvation. That became our outlet to transform all this dark shit that we've been through, because it's like it was so heavy. It was so heavy, and I feel like the Saturn return really sparks, our comeback, basically our comeback from the underworld. So what I'm saying is like the people that are at the older part, like me and my crew, you know what I mean? So those of us that are like in our 30s right now, the ones that have been through their Saturn return, we're really starting to come into our real power now, because now we're fearless. We don't care anymore. And see, this is what I'm saying. Somebody that's been through the underworld is really the most powerful person on this earth, because they could say that they did that. Okay, most people are scared to go through the underworld. They're scared. They're frightened. Why are they scared? Because they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to face the ugliness within them. They don't want to face their past traumas. They don't want to face their past hurts. They don't want to face the abuse that they went through, okay? But I always tell you guys that your darkness is your power. And I really understand this so well from being Pluto and Scorpio in the first house. Because in the first part of my life, I felt powerless. And that's really what Pluto is about. It's about your power. Either you're giving it away or you're controlling it. It's one or the two. Either you're giving it away to other people for them to control you, or you have the power to control yourself. Not control other people, but to control yourself. Because when you control yourself, then you can control other people through controlling yourself, okay? So, we're extremely powerful because it's like you can't threaten us. What are you going to threaten us with? Because a lot of us feel like we've already died. Like, it's like, how are you going to come after somebody that's already been through death? And we have been through death. We've been through spiritual death, which is way worse than physical death. A lot of people fear physical death so much when physical death really ain't, it's really not nothing. Really, okay? You feel, a lot of the times you feel pain for a little bit of moments, okay? And then it's done. The transformation happens. Pause at 14 minutes and 33 seconds of the transcription. I just want to interject really quickly a message about this, because a lot of people do minimize the physical death, because transformation within a life of spiritual death is very taxing and traumatic on the spirit. But physical death is not something to be taken lightly when it comes to the narrative that we're being shown in this plane, which is take your own life to end the pain of existence. So when we're talking about suicide, there is something very spiritual on the other side of that, which we don't really understand. It's ineffable. We can't grasp it. But what I've seen so far with learning about birth charts and placements and ailments and afflictions and certain karma, as you say, or things that we go through in the next life or in this current life. So you have lives within a life, death and rebirth, and then those who believe in reincarnation, or those who understand that there is a possibility for it. So maybe it would make us take a second look at whether death is really the end. If you believe in energy and spirituality, then you think, okay, there's a continuance, and where I go afterwards, there might be some repercussions for what I have done in this life. Therefore, your aspects of what you were meant to fulfill in this life, if you take a certain exit, like an exit route that's before your time, you kind of give up, surrender in a way that's not allowing these Plutonian cycles, these death and rebirths that are meant to cleanse us and purify us for a higher purpose. Be careful in thinking that that's a way out. It might be a signature on your future birth chart, which will create further lessons. In short, going back to this in just a second, it may behoove us to endure what we are enduring now, connect with those who can understand the energy of it and help us transmute it, and understand the lessons that we built into our birth chart for us to overcome, and then do what we're meant to do on the other side of that. Understanding that the life of a human being is a cosmic blink, just a cosmic blink. Like she was saying, 200 years is nothing. In this human life, have we ever met any 200-year-old people? No, it seems like a very long time. But in the space of being 0 to 30 years old, that's even more of a cosmic blink. And if your Plutonian lessons are in that first 30 years of your life, when you cross over that threshold, when you endure what you were supposed to endure, and then you are able to articulate and share and spread out in whichever way your placements in your house meant for you to do that, for you being in this generation and going through whatever you're going through, maybe hold on, because that cosmic blink might be worth it if on the other side of that, the gifts in return that you receive are so worth it. Whereas taking the physical death so lightly that you think that it's an actual exit and an easier route than this, just think about that. Okay, I just wanted to interject that, where she's saying that the physical death is really nothing, because that might trick people, because we're being tricked right now to think that that is a way out. And that's because they know that the people that are really at that breaking point, that are really feeling pushed to the wall, they have some real power latent within them. And when that gets unleashed from them, rising in consciousness, they are the forces to be reckoned with, like she talks about. Continuing on back at 14 minutes and 41 seconds, the transcription. But I'm saying spiritual death is way more painful, okay, because that's literally like the dying of your soul and your spirit, which is way more painful to go through because it's literally your essence being taken from you. And so that's how a lot of us feel with the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And so we end up, when we do come back from the underworld, we are resurrected. There's this power in us that is like so deep, and it's like we dare somebody to step to us because we've already lost everything. Everything has been taken from us. Like we've lost everything that there possibly was to lose. Sorry, I'm interjecting once more here on my notes, pausing at 15 minutes and 29 seconds of transcription because there is a loophole here, which I've learned in my personal experience with this, having so many Capricorn placements in my chart, Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, which is the father planet. Saturn, real quick lesson, is a planet that's going to restrict things from you and say, no, you can't have that now. And Capricorn is the sea goat that works hard to climb the mountain and just keeps going, just pushing through. And you push through without a sign of reward a lot of times because Saturn is restricting those things from you to see you persevere, to see that you carry forward. But I've learned in my personal life that what was meant for me was to make the bad choice, to learn the lesson, to then, keep climbing. Make the bad choice, learn the lesson, do better next time. A series of tests, cycles, and loops. We all go through them. You have the choice, though, when you awaken to this, and if you are able to awaken to this before your resurrection, before your afterlife, before your rebirth, you can actually bypass so much of your suffering by choosing to learn the lesson before you make the mistake, by being quantumly aware of your existence and your tests as they come and present to you in a person. A person embodies something. We can read energy. We can read people. We have psychic and intuitive gifts. This generation, Pluto and Scorpio generation. So the level to which you resist those lessons is the level to which you're going to have to lose everything and go through these deep, deep cleansing and purification Plutonian lessons, okay? So there is a choice. If you surrender to the lessons and learn them without making the mistake, say, okay, I understand this and I'm going to act this way because I want this result. You can take quantum leaps in your growth, in your Plutonian lessons, in your Saturnian lessons, and actually have less suffering in your life by choosing to be cognizant of the experience, to be awake within the dream, to be more than human, more than your human experience, like you see in those stickers. You're not of this world, you're in this world. That's a trick. It's not easy and it's sometimes not as enjoyable, but you will see that it actually turns out being so because a lot of those lessons that you're going to learn, the heartbreak, the heartache, the suffering, the clinging, is more torment to the soul, as she talks about in those underworld lessons, because you're actually being attached to thought forms and entities, soul ties. So she's going to get into sexual relationships where you're actually being tormented by the energy and the energetic attachments and cords to these dark forces of the underworld. In layman's terms, in simple terms, people's bad shit and their own karma gets transferred over to you by your clinging to that narrative that really isn't yours. So learning the Plutonian power of release and surrender to, okay, I see that you're a lesson and I'm going to move this way rather than I'm going to take a shortcut. You have that ability to do that. So this doesn't have to be as bad for those of you that are actually not at the year 30 level and moving into the other side of your Plutonian death and rebirth cycle. If you have this, if you're in this generation, that's a trick that you can actually use, and I would encourage you to do so. I learned that very closely. No, I would say I did it unconsciously. I've only been starting to do it consciously in the last 5 years, but throughout my life, I just decided that I didn't want to go through a lot of that stuff. People just don't understand a lot of what's going on around them. We just kind of do the monkey see, monkey do, but there are ways around the suffering if you choose to see them and seek them. So I'm just interjecting that. You know me, I get long-winded, but back to the transcribed message at 15 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's like we feel like, what else? What else can you do? You can't do anything else to me. I've already been through everything. I've already been through the hells of fire, already in the ring of fire, okay? So it's like when you go through hell, you bring those gifts with you. And that's another thing. You bring back gifts with you, okay? You bring back wisdom with you. You bring back fearlessness with you. And it's really, you get into the root of the mysteries of death. That's really what it is, because this Pluto in Scorpio, you guys got to understand, like I said, Pluto does not come back to Scorpio, but every 248 years, give or take. Okay, so Pluto is operating at its most powerful in Scorpio. So that's what I'm saying. The transformations that we're getting, other Pluto signs aren't getting that type of transformation. It's not as deep as the transformation with the Pluto and Scorpio generation. Like, we got to the deepest secret. We got to the center of it. Okay. So it's like we've seen all. And so then when we come back with the secrets of the underworld, and this is what it makes us so powerful, is this is what's going to make us the true leaders of this new world that we're going into, because we are the ones that, we know the secrets of light and darkness. We know the secrets of life and death, because that's what Pluto and Scorpio is about. Yes, we know the secrets of life and death. Okay, so we are really like the true alchemists. Okay, jumping ahead to 17 minutes and 46 seconds. I keep telling you guys we're the transformers, because Scorpio energy is about transformation, changing one thing from one state to the next. So we have had to take our darkness and turn it into light energy, okay? We had to convert our darkness to light energy, and only we can do it because we're fearless. We're not scared because of everything that we've been through, okay? So there is power in going through trauma. And I know that's something that's very hard for people to understand, especially when you're in the middle of the trauma. Like, you don't feel like there's no reason for it. But in hindsight, you really see how powerful that makes your soul. And then you have this respect for yourself, and you have this protectiveness over yourself. This is the main thing you have, this protectiveness over yourself, where it's like you will vow to never let anybody take your power away again. You will not. I will die before somebody takes my power again. Like, I will not let that happen, because I have my power taken from me for so long. I had my power taken from me for so long. I will never let that happen again. And I will fight to the death before that happens to me again. Okay? Because then you become the warrior. Okay? This is the energy of going from the victim to the warrior who nobody dare challenge because of everything that you've been through. Because really, when it comes down to it, people want to talk about strength and who's powerful and this and that. Being powerful, let me tell you something really important. Being powerful has nothing to do with the physical dimension. I don't give a damn if you pick up a gun and you shoot somebody. That'll make you powerful. That doesn't make you powerful. That doesn't make you a boss because you use weapons to kill someone. What makes you a boss is killing and transforming that spirit that caused you to kill someone. That's being a boss. Facing your inner demons is being a boss. Slaying your inner demons is being a boss. Going through the underworld and alchemical transformation makes you a boss, okay? Spiritually, you're a boss, okay? Because you're really combating that dark energy within yourself, or structuring it, or using it to its correct advantage, because we don't want to paint dark energy as being bad. And see, this is exactly why I don't paint dark energy as being bad, because I always look at it as, look at what it made me. It's a self-sacrifice. It's a self-sacrifice, really, for you to evolve into a God state, if we're going to talk about it alchemical wise, okay? And the Pluto and Scorpio generation are natural alchemists. So we were doing this alchemical stuff unconsciously. We didn't even know that's what we were doing. And that's why I really want to bring light to this generation, to kind of help you guys and guide you guys to know what was going on with you, okay? But like I said, Pluto is a slow evolving energy. You got to go through a lot of things before you could really see the true power of Pluto or of Scorpio. So the older we get, really, that's the more powerful that we're going to get, okay? And you know, everybody's been waiting to see what our generation is going to do, but we had to go through our transformation now. So it's like, since we went through our transformation, or we're going, a lot of you guys are just going through it now. Now we're really starting to come into our real power and who we really are. And we are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Once we come like into our real power, we're going to be a force to be freaking reckoned with. And we're going to have a natural compassion for people because we've been through it all. That's why we make good leaders, because we understand the bottom of the bottom. We understand deep pain. We understand trauma. We understand emotions. We understand loss. We understand fear, because fear is another part of this Pluto and Scorpio generation. Dealing with fear, okay? Especially if you have Saturn in Scorpio too. Fear is a huge thing, and combating and overcoming fear. So that's what I mean when I say that we become fearless. Fearless, okay? And so I'm really proud of you guys. I'm really proud of all of you. Like, I see how wise that you guys are and just how spiritually evolved that you guys are. And it's crazy. So speaking back to childhood, a lot of us went through a lot of traumatizing experiences in our childhood. Again, like I said, we weren't sheltered like other generations, unless you just grew up in a family that was super sheltered. But still, even if you're Pluto and Scorpio generation, you probably went to a school and you heard about these things. Like, I grew up in a school that was highly sexually charged. That environment, okay, people were having babies in middle school. Like, everybody was having sex, drugs, trauma, just in general. You know, we had the whole gangster rap thing that was coming out in the 90s, and murdering and killing people. And I always talk about how that stuff was deeply ingrained in our unconscious mind. And so, you know, we grew up around a lot of negativity. Basically, we grew up around a lot of negativity. So I just want to give you guys an idea. It is important to know what house that your Pluto was in, because that is going to tell you where your greatest power is going to be once you come out of the underworld and you resurrect. This is going to be where your greatest power is. Okay? In transcription here at 24 minutes and 20 seconds, where we're going to break to part 2 in the video where we talk about the different houses in Pluto and Scorpio and how they will impact you. For example, if you have Pluto and Scorpio in the first house, it will manifest in your personality and in your personal identity, in your relationships, and how you see the world. A lot of times Pluto's going to break you down by putting these suspicions in your mind that there's secrets being kept from you, that there's mysteries around you, because you have this deep, deep intuition and sense of psychic self where you can see basically bullshit. You can see when a person is lying to you, and you can see things that many others can't. And you internalize that for so many years as seeing that people have been keeping things from you and are not being honest and authentic. So your relationships are going to go through these deep personal transformations, and where you discard people that can't go there with you. And we'll go through the other houses and see what she says about those. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in that next video. Take care.